Hey everybody, this is Putt Putt King here, and I am back for this week's story time. And for this week's story time, I'm going to tell you how both of my proms, junior and senior, ended in disaster. I'm going to tell you about the junior one first. It all started a few days before prom, where I was talking to my girlfriend at the time on MSN Messenger. No one had Facebook yet. It was all MSN Messenger at the time. But anyway, the point is that I was talking to her, and then this one random girl, I don't know how they got my email or my name, texted me and said, would you go out with me? And I told them I already had a girlfriend, and they didn't seem to like that very much. I mean, I might have even introduced, my girlfriend to them, saying, this is my girlfriend. And apparently, I don't think she took that very well, because about a few minutes later, she gets on, or they both get on at the same time. And then my girlfriend is the one who gets off. And then she messages me and says, hey, I booted your girlfriend. And with me being in high school, I thought booted meant blocked at the time. So I said, well, I'll do the same thing. I'll boot you too. And blocked her. And that was the end of her. And I thought maybe that's the end of that. But then this other girl, and she comes on and asks me, will you go out with me? And I thought, am I being trolled? Why does another girl want to go out with me? And for some reason, she made me feel pressured to do it. Made me feel like pressure to do it. So, I said, fine, but I don't like it. I have a girlfriend, And then she said that, she was going to tell the other girl, because the other girl who messaged me was her friend. And then she said that her friend said she was going to go tell my girlfriend. So I thought, oh boy, I'm in trouble now. I said, if she tells you, tell her that I felt pressured by you to do it. Because it's true, she did. And nothing was said about it until a few days, until at prom. It was a normal night at prom, We're dancing, having fun. And then, this is when the disaster part started. I tried to kiss her after the song. She said, no. I said, no. And I tried to do it again. And then that's when she just like got mad and just, walked away from me and sat down. And then I asked, are you mad at me? And she's like, yeah. And then when we start talking about it, she tells me that she knows about the other girl. And I told her I felt pressured by it. And she's like, well, still, you cheated on me. So, she said she would think about a couple days before dating, for if she wanted to be together. Well, those couple days went by, and of course it ended in a breakup. So first prom turned out to be disastrous. But I will say that about 10 or 15 minutes after I walk out and sit down, that, a couple of my friends come by, and, they're just like, well, if she wants to go home, never drive home mad. And about 10, 15 minutes later, she comes by and she's like, or she comes out and she's like, are you ready to go home? And I was like, are you? And then she's like, yeah, I'm starting to fall asleep. So and then I said, I guess, you don't want to kiss. And she's like, no. And then a couple days went by, and then it ended in breakups. She just didn't like it. I tried buying her flowers to make it up to her. Did not work. That was the first disastrous, because it ended in a breakup, mainly at prom. The second one was my senior prom, And you know your senior prom is always supposed to be special. And that one, well, that was the more disastrous one. This one was the more disastrous one because after we walked in the line and after they escorted us in there, saying, that she was being escorted by me. I'm not going to say the names, of course. But then about maybe 10, 15 minutes later, she is like, because they announced prom pictures, and then that's when she's like, you want to go ahead and get the prom picture made? So I was like, okay, we'll do that. So we stood there. The room was a little hot, and we got our picture taken, and then they were about to take the next people, but then the girl right in front screamed, and then she said, she just fainted. She just fainted. She had a problem with I don't know if she still does, but she had a problem back then with multiple sclerosis, and her liver was like completely destroyed, and it caused her to pass out at random times. And we had teachers, doctors, paramedics, just trying to get her up. And then about 10 or 15 minutes later, or maybe 20 or so, she wakes up and everything and starts crying. And, we're like, at least she got up, and she's like, do you still want to stay? And then she's like, no, I really don't feel like it. She's like, I've just got a real bad headache from fainting. I just think I should go home. And that is when I decided, and then that's when I sat out there, and then there were a couple girls being like, hey, what's wrong? And I told her what happened, and they were like, well, don't try to let it ruin your prom. This is your senior prom. But, she wanted to go, so I said, I'm not going to stay. I'm going to go with her. I'm going to go back to the house, spend some time with her at least. And then that's when the dad was like, would that be okay with you? And she's like, yeah, I'll probably be tired and probably fall asleep at some point. So I went back to her house probably for about 4.5 hours until 12:30 at night. And so, yeah, that night mostly ended at her house, but, had a disastrous prom because she fainted. But anyway, after that, it's just kind of just put in the past now. But that is the story of how both my junior and senior proms ended in disaster. Junior breakup, and then senior faint. But if you enjoyed this premiere, then hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you have not yet. And I'll see you next week for another story time. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this premiere, and thank you for coming. This is Putt King signing off. Later, everybody.